Hello. Hi, y'all.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're very quiet though.
Okay, I'm talking louder a little bit.
How are you?
I'm almost there.
Yeah. When is your show?
On Sunday.
Oh my gosh. Are you so excited?
I got this party by
Ooh,
Cool.
I'm not that excited yet.
You're not excited?
It's the scared face.
Yeah, that's fair. That is totally fair. Let me get my headphones in so I can hear you better. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. All right, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. So thanks everybody for joining us today. I was just talking to Chantel about what she needed help with and what support we could offer. And she said, cue sheets and lighting. So let's talk about it. I will go ahead and let me open this up real quick. I can share my screen and show you guys what I do for cue sheets. I have a Google form that I use for instructors, well, choreographers to fill out all of their cue sheet information. And then I use a mail merge to take the Google sheet that's created from the form and turn it into cue sheets. So let me show you real quick how I do that. Bear with me a second while I pull up the form. Okay, let me share my screen. All right, can y'all see this?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is my form that I send out to all my choreographers. It has just information about what our lighting and technical capabilities will be. The first section is just our dance info, and I do like a drop down selection of all of my classes so that they pick which class they're doing it for, title as they want it in the program, music credit, choreographer, style of dance. This is definitely helpful, especially for if it's a tap dance and you have floor mics. So you need to make sure your audio people know to turn your floor mics on, length of the dance, number of performers, and the age of the performers. And that's just like the basic dance info that I put at the top section of the cue sheet. Then we have technical info. So first thing is props or set pieces. Are there any props or set pieces used? Anything that needs to be set in advance? Anything that needs to be preset in the wings for the dancers to use? Then we want to know which side of the stage dancers are getting ready in. So that way our crew on each side of the stage knows, when to expect dancers to be there. Stage right wings, stage left wings, or both sides. In the beginning of the dance, do the dancers start on stage or off stage or some of both? And then the first cue, is it dancers to places? Is it lights and music at the same time? Is it lights first or music first? The second cue, same options. Third cue, same options. And then we have lighting, like more specific lighting requests. So what is the lighting like at the beginning of the piece? Does it fade up? Does it kind of like blast on? How long does it take the lights to fade up? If the lights and sound happen separately, how long after the first one does the next one happen? you know, for example, lights fade up in 8 seconds, music starts after 3 seconds, for example. And then the general look of the lighting. So do you want specific colors? Are you just going for a feeling? This is where it's like, if you have an actual lighting designer and lighting technicians to help create your looks, you kind of want to get an understanding of what their capabilities and experience are, so that, you know, if you tell them, I want it to be happy, they can create happy for you. Or if you want it to be somber and sad or melancholy, like they can create that for you. But if you have technicians or lighting designers that are more like, give me specific colors, then you need to say, you know, what those colors are going to look like. Next question is, are there any lighting changes during the piece? We want to be really specific in how and when it changes. If it's at like a specific time in the music, or if it's a choreography cue, when is that happening? And there's enough space in the response of that question that they can enter multiple lighting changes. And then at the end of the piece, where do the dancers finish? If they're in a pose on the stage, if they exit as the music ends, or if they continue dancing as the music ends. And then describe the lighting at the end of the piece. Does it cut quickly to a blackout? Does it fade out slowly? How long is that fade? And then any other comments or details that the lighting designer or sound or stage manager or backstage crew should know. So let me show you. I have only 23 responses. Not all of my choreographers have filled this out yet for all their dances. So I'm going to show you the spreadsheet that's created from the responses. And it's a lot of data here, so it's kind of hard to look at in a spreadsheet format. But what you can do with that is, and sorry, I didn't have it pulled up and ready to go, but let me find. Bear with me a second. Oh, can't load the app launcher. Cool, thanks, Google. Come on now. And this sort of thing where you like have a form that you create and then it generates the spreadsheet and then you do a mail merge from there. Like it takes a bit to set it up. So it takes some time and you know, figuring out how to use the, you know, how to use these features. It takes a little while to set it up, but once you have it in place, you can use it year after year and just duplicate it, and then improve upon it each year. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. So this Google Doc that I have takes information from each of the columns from the spreadsheet that's created from the Google form. So up here, I just have the basic information for the dance, the class, the show order, which I have to add in because my choreographers don't know the show order. So I have to put that in myself. The title of the dance, name of choreographer, the style of the dance, number of performers, age of performers, and then preset. So this is what's happening before the dance even begins. Where are the dancers in the wings, props or set pieces? Beginning of the dance, where the dancers begin, and then it pulls the cues from those questions in the form. And again, lighting in the beginning, general look, and mid-dance lighting changes. It pulls that information from the responses in the form, where the dancers end, and the lighting at the end, and then comments at the end. So let me see if I can remember how I extensions. No, man, I should have reviewed this before. No, not that. Go away. Mail merge. So you have to add this add-on called mail merge. But once you add it to your Google account, and for some reason it wants you to go through the whole thing each time, but it asks you, oh, I'm good. I know how to do this. Why are you asking me how to do it? Okay. Oh, you go to letters and then you select the document that you're going to pull that data from. So I'm going to say use current document and hit next. And then your mailing list is, because it like the whole point of mail merge is to like have a spreadsheet of like email addresses or mailing addresses, and then to create letters from it or something like that. So you select your mailing list, which in this case is the Google Sheet that's created from your form responses. And then insert merge field is all of the titles of all of the columns in that sheet. Does that make sense? Kind of, sort of. And so you just place your cursor wherever you want that merge field and then hit the drop down and say, that's where you, oh, but it put it in the wrong spot. Silly thing. So like, for example, I want to insert the class right there, maybe. Come on now. Are you going to do it? All right. Well, of course, it's not working now. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so then once you have all of your merge fields where you want them, you click on Start Mail Merge, and it creates a new sheet for every row in your Google Sheet. And each row in your Google Sheet is one response in the form. So you can do it in a PDF or a Word document. I'm going to do it in a Word or oh my gosh, stop it. Come on now. I don't need to download. Okay, so then you download the file. And if you don't need to edit it at all after it's merged, then you can just do it in a PDF and print it off. If you want it to be editable, then do it in a Word document. So here I have my first entry, dancers start in stage right wings. There's nothing here for props or set pieces or preset lights because there was no response in that question of the form. Dancers begin on stage. Q1, dancers to places. Q2, lights and music go. Lights fade up in 5 seconds. General look is bright, pink, tropical. And then dancers end in pose on stage. Lighting at the end. Dancers blow a kiss. Lights fade to what I call baby blackout, which is mostly just like a blue wash, like a very low light blue wash on stage, so that the way the little ones have more light to get on and off stage, because a full blackout for like 3-year-olds can be pretty scary. So I do a baby blackout. And then for some reason there's a blank page in there. And then the next one is ready to go. So this choreographer said lights fade up 8 seconds, music starts after 4, cool colored lighting can have a darker feel at beginning, mystical bright feel during the dance. At 44 seconds, lights can become brighter, music gets louder. Dancers, and then of course, you'll have to maybe like mess with the formatting and stuff to make sure each dance fits on one page. But this choreographer wrote, dancers begin immediately with the music. Please be sure they are ready on stage before music goes, obviously. And, it just creates a new sheet for each response in the form. So that is how I make my cue sheets. Any questions? Does that make sense? Do you want me to go back over anything?
That is incredibly excellent. I wanted to let you know that. I don't have questions. I mean, I definitely want to implement that next year. The problem for me is that I teach 90% of, not maybe 90, maybe 80% of my classes. So I'm really talking to myself about these things mostly, and I have like a teacher that teaches 3 jazz classes and a hip hop teacher who teaches 2 hip hop classes, and every other class I teach.
Right.
So
And I do the form responses myself. So for all of my dances too, I don't teach nearly as many classes as you do, but I, submit my form response and go through the whole process for all of my own dances as well. And it helps me to get clear on what I need for each of my own dances too. So it's important to not just have your staff do this, but also do it for your own pieces as well. And I'm happy to share all of this in the group. I'll put a link into a template for the Google form and for the mail merge for the cue sheet as well, if you guys want to have access to that. Does anybody do anything different that works for them? I mean, I used to like print out a blank form, hand write all of the cues and looks and everything, and then type it up and then print it all out. And that was just way too much work. So this system is a little bit easier. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
for me, like basically like what's making me feel uncomfortable is that I don't understand lighting. Like, I mean, I get the basic gist of it, but like, I don't understand it enough to like be in charge of it. So
yeah,
and I'm like, okay, my costume's blue and pink. What color are my lights supposed to be?
right. And that's where it's like color
That's the
theory
part.
stuff comes into play. And the way that I think about lighting, and I took like a tech course in like a theater tech course in college, but don't remember much of that. I was a stagecraft apprentice for ADF one summer and like designed lights for one piece in one of the professional productions, but like basically pulled it out of my ass and didn't really know what I was doing. It's like, yes, amber lights, that looks good.
Yeah.
But the most important thing I think to understand with lighting is like complementary and contrasting colors. And just to understand like what colors are pulled out from the costume based on the colors that you have on the stage with the lights. So if you have a blue costume and you shine blue lights on that costume, it's going to make it look much bluer. If you have a blue costume and shine yellow lights on that costume, it's going to wind up looking more green. You also want to think about if you just have front lights or if you also have side lights. If you want to so like do you know what your capabilities are at your venue, Chantel?
Yeah, I have the lights in the front. I have the lights on the stage, and I have lights in the back, the psych or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if there's side lights right now. But what I was gonna do is just color the psych.
Yeah.
But I'm choosing the colors. That's why I'm like, I don't know what the heck. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like having that impact of having uplighting on a white psych is really effective. That's what I'm doing this year, and that's what I did in my last real recital, was just have uplighting on the psych and then kind of let the lighting designers do whatever else they wanted to do. Do you have a lighting designer that you're working with at the venue?
I don't have a designer. I just have the person who can program them and run them.
Right. Okay.
That's when he's like, I have no taste or creativity about this at all. It's like he just wants me to give him the paper. And I think at dress rehearsal, we kind of have the chance to like do it, but I'm trying to be as
noodle around things
prepared as I can be, so I don't waste my time doing that.
Right. What I do, and I started doing this in a couple years before the pandemic, was and this was my venue that suggested doing this, is doing a dry tech, which is basically where you set the lighting looks for each dance without the dancers on stage. So you might have to like adjust the levels or adjust the colors a little bit once they get on stage with their costumes on. But for the most part, you're just pre-setting everything. So that way, when the dancers do get on stage, you can just worry about them and not the lights.
Yeah.
And that, like I'm doing my dry tech on the first day of my tech rehearsals, and I have like 3 hours set for my dry tech. So it definitely
It's
takes
you. It's just you and them, or you and all the teachers and them.
just me and the lighting designer, and that's
Okay,
it.
that makes a lot more sense. And
Yeah.
I did go to the school a few days ago, but
Mhm.
there was like a drama, people were in there, so we couldn't like touch the lights, because that's what I was gonna like
Mhm.
him kind of like show me something, but there's people using it, so we couldn't touch
Right. Yeah. And you know, if you can get in there and do a dry tech, even if it's just like, you know, here's what I want all of my 3 to 6 year old classes to look like. Here's what I want all of my ballet dances to look like. Here's what I want all, you know what I mean? Like, even if you can only get in there for like an hour or so, just to like knock out some looks. So that way, when you have the kids on stage, it's less about adjusting colors um, and you know, that sort of thing, and more about like making sure that your kids are comfortable on stage and know their formations and placements, because like that's what you want to focus on, not the lighting. Yeah. Does anybody else have any suggestions or things that work for them, or like lighting design experience? It's definitely not my expertise for sure, but I feel like it's just the kind of thing you, after doing it for so many years, you just sort of pick it up. I know that if you guys are familiar with Joe Naftal or however you pronounce, he is like a production whiz, and has done or used to do a like, you know, theater tech for studio owners and choreographers course. And I think he did like a mini condensed version of it that was like, you know, like an hour-long webinar or something like that. And I don't know if that was through dancestudioowner.com or not. I know he works with them a lot, but that might be a good resource to seek out, if not for this year, definitely for future years. And DEO, the National Dance Education Organization, also has online courses in theater tech that are much more in-depth and super helpful. I've heard really good things about that class. I think they're offering one in theater tech over the summer. That might be good to look into if you have the resources to do some continuing education, professional development stuff. That's a good one to look into. Yeah, and I think like if it's something that you're interested in, or even if it's like just something that you know you want to learn more about, there's, you know, lighting design textbooks out there you can get. Just search for lighting design on Amazon and see what pops up.
While I'm on here, can I ask other questions about recital stuff?
What's that?
I have other questions about recital.
Oh my God, yes. What else?
So dress rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
I have basically from 6 to 9 do my dress rehearsal. This is my first time in actual theater with my own students. I did like a little remix gym theater that we created my first year, and then I did dress rehearsal like right before the real show. So I'm just trying to think of the best way to do this. Does there anybody have any creative way that they do it? Do you just run the whole thing in their costumes? Do you have kids in the audience? Do you do little kids first? Like, what do you guys do to make your dress rehearsal the most efficient and not to terrorize all my costumes before the real show?
Yeah, I do all of my tech rehearsals. I don't do in show order. I just do in like convenience order. So like little ones first, then my finale rehearsal, which is everybody's in it, and then older ones after. And then I actually do 2 days of tech. So I have tech on Thursday and Friday this year. And performers are in the dressing room until it's their time on stage, just because if they're in the audience, it's a long time and they're going to get antsy and they're going to get loud. And I don't want to spend my time with tech rehearsal shushing kids in the audience when I have to be focusing on the kids on stage. it just adds more distraction. It just adds more chaos. Like, just shut it down, keep them in the dressing room. If you have a videographer that can do a live feed, that's really cool. Or if your venue does that, just to have a screen in the dressing room showing whatever's going on stage so that they can kind of watch the process. I do an open tech rehearsal. So parents are allowed in the audience. A lot of people do a closed tech or a closed dress, which is totally fine. It's totally up to you. I kind of enjoy having the parents there to watch the process. And it's usually just like one parent per kid. And I think they kind of enjoy seeing the behind the scenes stuff. And I like to have them witness how I interact with their children on stage and like hyping them up, because my whole thing about recital is that it should be a fun experience for the dancers and not a stressful one. So I'm not like the barking director that's yelling instructions and getting all frazzled. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's go. And like the parents are like, oh my gosh, that's so cool.
So really in that area, girl.
Yes, it's always an area of growth to internalize your own stress and not project it onto others. That's like, I am also, working on not snapping at the people who are like, close to me that I know can take it. Like my parents, my mom is like, can you try to be nicer to me this year? Like, but mom, you're the only one I can snap at. And sometimes I just need to snap.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I have everybody in the dressing room during tech rehearsal and during the recital just to keep it more manageable. I sent out an email to all of my class mom volunteers from the last time, from previous years, just to ask like, hey, how is this experience for you? What can we do to make it more organized backstage? How did our staff treat you? Was everything professional and streamlined and well organized? What can I do to make this job more fun for you? Those kinds of questions. And I'm still waiting on that feedback to come back in. But I want my class mom volunteers to know that I value their feedback and opinions and experience, and I'm, like working on improving things for them. Because again, I don't want them to be stressed either, because then they very well could project that onto the kids, and then the kids are feeling stressed, and it's just not a good situation. So yeah. You got this. I believe in you. Does anybody else have any questions or ideas or, like troubleshooting things? It doesn't have to be about cue sheets and lighting design. It can be about we're just on recital now. So pick up and drop off, how you do that, backstage or dressing room organization. Any questions or ideas to share?
I have a question for pick up and drop off.
Yeah.
Actually, how other people do it. And also different things that you do to keep kids busy in the back, just looking for different ideas, since I feel like ever since COVID, a lot of the kids are like, need to keep moving, like things like it needs to constantly be changed different. Like I feel like we're going to enter a different time than 2 years ago, where like they could be busy backstage for a while, but now it's like they've always been like on their phones or like moving, things were short, like, so it's just kind of different, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. So for pick up and drop off, my system is I buy wristbands, just like the plasticky papery ones in different colors on Amazon. And I have my work study kids do this because they, they need jobs. And so this is like a very easy thing for them to do. For each day that a child is in the theater, I write the last name and first initial on a wristband. When the parent drops the kid off or signs them in, I have them sign a piece of paper that says, I'm dropping my child off. They get that wristband. The parent gets the wristband on their wrist. then that same parent has to be the person to pick up whenever the rehearsal or the recital is over. And that way we know that it is an authorized adult, whether it's the grandma or dad or mom, whoever it is an authorized person picking up the child because it's the same person who brought them. And class moms do the sign out. So class moms have a clipboard or a folder with the sheet with all their kids' names. And so their responsibility is to check the name on the wristband, make sure it matches the name on their list of students, and then have the parents sign out the kid, and then they may leave. Yeah, Kim says I do it exactly the same way. Plus I have a one way in, one way out pickup. Yeah. And if you can have a separate entrance at your venue for dancers versus audience, that is very helpful too. So like in my venue this year, parents are going to bring students to the backstage door, basically like the loading dock door. And then they have to exit that door and go around the building to enter through the audience entrance. And that way we don't have parents like coming through backstage through the house and in that way. So that kind of keeps things a little bit more organized too. And then I also do a similar like color coded system for the dressing room. And this might be a little bit extra, but I have each class has, or each group of classes that are going to be grouped together in the dressing room have a color. And I use that color of paper to make a sign for their table. So maybe it's like, for me, my preschool classes are called Kids in Motion. So I have all my Kids in Motion classes together in one section of the dressing room, which helps with keeping them occupied as well, because they're grouped with similar ages. So all my 3 to 6 year olds are in the same section of the dressing room, and they get to hang out with kids that they might not know, because they're in different classes, or maybe it's their neighbor who's in the Wednesday class and they're in the Friday class, and they get to hang out at the, in the dressing room. But I also use balloons, and I use balloons to color code the tables as well, which just gives it like a fun, festive feel. And it's easier for the kids to find the balloons that match the color they're looking for versus a little sign on the table. And then there's lots of stuff on the table and it's hard to find. So I set up the dressing room that way. And yeah, I think like grouping similar age classes together is helpful. It's also helpful for the class mom or whoever your volunteers are backstage to kind of like be more of a communal sort of backstage situation. I tell my class moms to bring activities for their kids. So whether that's like coloring books or board games, something that does not have a lot of pieces to keep track of, but stuff that's going to be, like card games are great, that sort of thing. And I also tell parents in my recital info packet, and then in correspondence that I send out leading up to the recital, like your kid is welcome to have a tablet or a phone or whatever you want them to have, but it is their responsibility to keep track of it. And if they lose it, it's not our fault. And we're not responsible for it. And neither are our backstage volunteers. So it's up to the parents then to decide what their kid is responsible enough to handle on their own. Yeah, but then again, if you have a live feed in the dressing room, that's also very helpful to keep kids engaged too, because they just get to watch all the other dancers on stage when they're backstage. Does anybody else have any other ideas of how to keep kids occupied backstage?
In my school, we're gonna put them in the classroom. It's like a kind of a small classroom, and I'm a employee of the county still right now, so I can really connect to the projector with my computer and play like a movie. Or yesterday, my staff, they're showing me these like funny education hip hop videos, and like might be fun for them to dance around to. But I planned on doing activities, so what you just said is helpful.
Mhm.
kind of like think about what activities to do, so we kind of engage them when it's not their turn.
Yeah, I also tell my older students, um, you are our teenagers, you are our oldest dancers, and in my rec program, I have like the little ones and the older ones in the same dressing room. So I tell my older dancers, look, part of your responsibility as a leader in the studio is to lend a hand in the dressing room when it's needed. So if you can, if you see a class mom that's getting frazzled, step up and offer to take a kid to the bathroom if they don't have anybody else to help out with that. Like
Like,
watch the kid, whatever needs to happen. I also have one staff member who, and I actually, it's a former staff member who comes back every year, but she is like the head dressing room person. And she's in charge of the dressing room kit, which has hair supplies and first aid kit and costume repair, emergency sewing kits and hot glue guns and like everything you could possibly imagine that you might need backstage, and then some. Pads and tampons, contact solution, nail polish remover, all the things. She's in charge of maintaining all of that. But she's also just like really good with kids, and so she sometimes will just like lead. She's actually a high school special ed teacher, so she will just like lead a movement class with them, and it's not like a specific dance style, but it's just like, let's get moving. I will have one of my teachers lead a warm-up class before the show begins. And for that dressing room, that's the big dressing room with all the rec kids and the kids in motion, little ones. It's like very basic stuff that just gets their heart rates up and gets them kind of pumped to be on stage. So that's definitely helpful too, to get them moving. And of course, we want them to be warm on stage, before they hit the stage. So yeah. For my accelerated dancers, my more advanced kids, they have like a full warm-up class on stage before the show.
so for my theater, there's like two kind of small dressing rooms where you just like walk in, there's a mirror, there's a bathroom. It's not big enough for all the kids to sit in there.
Right.
So my plan was, we have this really long hallway that's right on the side. So I'm getting chairs in there so that every kid would be assigned a chair. And so they're kind of gonna have to be in the hallway. And that way, if I need them all to hear me for something or like be alert or something, they can go to this chair that's like your home base. And then like one level could probably fit in the dressing room and be okay. I plan to put the little kids in the classroom, which is probably gonna be extra tight, but I know they're the ones that are gonna need to hang out. And the big kids, they're gonna have to, I think I'm gonna use what you said. Like, you guys have to be leaders. So is there anybody who wants to help out and make sure that the other children are okay?
Especially for the older kids who are like only in one dance.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of those because I have a big recreational program at my studio. So, like they're just in one dance and they're just hanging out backstage and they're like super bored. Like, okay, it's time to be a leader, step it up. Like, let's see, how you can help, because maybe they've grown up at your studio or whatever. Like, do you remember what it was like when you were younger and were nervous to go on stage? Like, just talk to the younger kids about what the experience is like and what they can expect, and just that sort of thing. But I think if you give them the idea that it is a responsibility and it's an honor, then they're more likely to take it seriously and actually do it.
Mhm. I should have talked to you like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know, right? We should have had this call a while ago.
But I mean, it's still helpful, even though
Yeah, definitely. Anybody else have any questions or ideas to share?
One year we did a coloring contest for the kids that were waiting. They thought that was fun.
Cute. That's a great idea.
bring crayons to the recycle.
I also do when kids come to the theater for when they check in on recital day, they get a little logo bag that has in it like a water bottle and the bag of fruit snacks and a copy of the program. and something else like a promotional thing with my logo on it, like a squishy stress ball or something like that. And what else did I do? Oh, and I also like in my the packets that I give to the class moms, I give them copies of coloring pages and make sure that they have crayons too. So, you know, if like my first dance recital, the coloring page, I think I've got those resources like a long time ago from dancestudioowner.com. And you could probably find free coloring pages online, and they don't have to be dance related either. I was looking at like getting a custom coloring book made, but I don't have that kind of money. So we're just going to print out some blank sheets. Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
It's going to be great.
I know, I'm like, how am I gonna figure out how to do all these things you just told me in this many days? But it's okay. I got it.
It's going to be great. You're going to do amazing, and you will learn lots of things for next year. And I highly recommend after your recital, whether it's the same day or the next day, all you want to do is like sleep or nothingness. Oh, Megan, it's your first one. Oh my gosh, congratulations. Yeah, all you want to do after it's over, it's like I don't know about you guys, but I get like the post-recital letdown. It's like the day after Christmas when you're like, no, it's over. And I just kind of like want to wallow and then sleep for a week. But it's so important to debrief. And whether it's just you thinking about how things went, or if it's you and your staff getting together for brunch or something, or even just like hopping on a Zoom call for 15 minutes to talk about what worked, what didn't work. Send an email out to your volunteers to ask them the same questions: what worked, what didn't work. Hi. What can we improve upon for next year? I have a running document that I save that's like notes for next season, and I just like keep adding to it throughout the year. And that's super helpful too. So yeah, instead of just having all of it in your head, write it down.
The key there, get that stuff out.
Yeah, definitely.
9 days until I'm a full-time dance studio owner.
Oh my God, amazing. Are you so excited?
Yes, I want to be free like this. Like I took off work yesterday and today because I needed to finish stuff.
Yeah, good
So
for
I
you.
love being just free.
Good.
I wait to call y'all every day. Okay, guys, what are we gonna talk about today? Because I'm that I have no school to go to.
That's amazing.
So thank you for having this and for trying to save me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad we could jump on and help hopefully ease some stresses and make things easier. Any other questions or issues that we're stressing about?
What do you do at the recital?
What do I do personally? My job is high fives and hugs and smiles, and I don't have an actual role at recital, and that is very intentional, because if I have a job, then I don't get to experience the joy of it all. And my job is to make sure that everybody's having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Problem solving as needed, but I really empower my team to solve problems without it getting to me. Like one year I had a dance that, and I feel like I tell this story all the time, but I just love it so much. I had a dance where two sisters were in the class and they both dropped out the week of the show. And that's a whole other story, but that affected the choreography because there's a lot of partnering work. My lesson learned from that was don't put partnering work in a recreational dance, because you never know who's going to drop out last minute because they're not as committed as the accelerated kids. But lesson learned, moving on. But I had emergency rehearsals for this class, and reworking formations and places and partnering stuff. And then when it came time to get on stage, I had, some dancers that were very confused. They were not old enough or experienced enough to handle all those last minute changes. We should have done it differently. And I had one girl who just would not go out on stage, or I think she like came out and then froze and then ran off stage. I know, it broke my heart. And that was at the first act of the show. And so during intermission, I said, I talked to the girl after she got off stage and I said, do you want to try again? She's like, what are you talking about? It's over. Like the dance is over. I was like, baby girl, I am in charge here. And if we want to do it again, we're going to do it again. And so during intermission with the curtain closed, we had that class back out on stage with the teacher and, reminded them of all the changes. And then after intermission, we had them do it again and it was great. So that's the kind of stuff that I do at recital. Hopefully we don't have any of those issues this year. But that's the kind of problem solving that I like to do on the fly. That is exciting for me. And it has a really big impact on the kids. It has a really big impact on the parents, so that was like the biggest feedback I got that year at the show was, oh my God, I can't believe you let them do it again. That was so great. And it was like a recreational ballet dance of like 9-year-olds, it wasn't like the biggest, most impressive technical performance. It was just like the fact that they got another opportunity to do it. And everybody was really impressed by that. Okay, let's see. What is the best way to get registration and summer things out there? I feel like my Facebook is only about this stuff and not really seeing a big response. Yeah, summer is so hard in so many areas. I mean, like in my area, people are going on vacation all the time and don't want to sign up for stuff, or they want to take a break from dance and try something new, or, they just want to hang out with the neighborhood kids all summer, like whatever it is. I give out, and I'm working on this now and it's driving me crazy, but I give out a registration packet at the end of the year, and it has in it all of their evaluations that the teachers fill out. It has the schedule for the summer and fall, and it has their, list of their recommended classes and little check boxes next to each one and a signature line at the bottom. And all they have to do is check the boxes of the classes or camps they want to sign up for, sign the bottom, turn it into the front desk. And we also accept them at drop off at the sign-in table at the recital venue during tech and show day. And then we register them for them based on that form. And I have an incentive of like, if you turn in this form by recital day, you are entered in a drawing to win like free tuition for the next year for one class, something along those lines, just to, motivate them to actually do it. That has been a big help. I just interviewed someone for the podcast who talked about social media marketing strategy. And she said, what did she say? One of the biggest things that was interesting was, I'm looking at my notes from that conversation right now. If you're doing a social media ad, like on Facebook or whatever, you want three different audiences. One audience that you're targeting that's just getting awareness out there, getting name recognition out there. So you want to target people in your geographical area, in your radius, and that might, your mile radius might differ based on what kind of area you're in. Like in my area, nobody wants to drive more than 3 miles to do anything. But if you're more rural, maybe it's like 25 miles. I don't know. And you want to target people who are interested in motherhood and parenting. And that's it. No call to action in the ad. Maybe a button to message you on Facebook. But it's really just about awareness and getting your name out there and then capturing new leads. Not by directing them to a landing page or your website, but by tracking who is engaging in your content. And then that leads you to your next audience, which is your engagement audience. And you're targeting people who have actually engaged in your content, with your content on Facebook in the last year. So engagement could look like liking a post, commenting on a post, or just hovering over your ad to see more. And that way you're getting your next kind of ad out to people who are already familiar with you. So they've already seen your content, they've engaged with your content, and now you're saying, now click here to learn more and register online. Because going from zero awareness to buy my service is a big leap. So you want to go from no familiarity at all to, you know who I am and you're familiar with my services, to then learn more and register and give me your money. And then the third audience that you want to target is current and previous students. And you can do that directly by uploading your email list to your Facebook marketing, your Facebook ad manager. And so maybe that looks like, an email list of students who are not registered for summer or not registered for fall. And your ad is, we miss you. Or maybe it's like, I don't know, I'm blanking right now, but like,
Go back to dance.
Yeah, come back to dance, tune up your technique this summer, try something new this summer, and it can even be targeted reminders for your current list of enrollees. So don't forget to buy your tickets for the recital. Like, you can pay to target your families that are already enrolled with those reminders on Facebook so that they're actually more likely to see them. Another way you can reach new people is something called a lookalike audience. And you can make it a lookalike audience based on the people who have engaged with your content. So let's say, you have 100 people who have clicked on your ad. And it just so happens that all of those 100 people, or most of those 100 people, are women in their 30s who also like Target on Facebook. Well, Facebook now can create a lookalike audience of, in your geographical area, in your target radius, women in their 30s who like Target. And then it's, that they have those things in common with people who are more likely to engage with your content. If that makes sense. So yeah, I think the biggest thing is like making it easy for your families to register for the new season and for the summer. Getting out requirements for your company or your team as early as possible, and making summer programs required for them in order to participate, so that you have that base student body for your summer programs is really important. And then, if they're out of town that week or whatever, well, this is part of your team package. You are paying for it regardless. It's part of your fees. If you can make it amazing, if you can't, oh, well, I'm not giving you a refund. Yeah, but having those requirements out, and like level placements and team placements and company placements and all that stuff, having that out before the recital in the spring is very helpful for retention.
I use for my summer camp, where you register in advance and you only pay registration fee, and then it automatically charges you tuition like the Friday before camp. So it's like, I have low risk ways for you to sign up.
Yeah.
You can still sign, and like registration for fall right now is open, and you pay $1 right now.
Wow.
And then they're not using it right now, but I'm hoping after the recital the surge will be happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then you pay registration. It's going to come out the normal day we get billed. But since there's none for May, I put it for the one in May.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't get charged your first tuition until right before the tuition is due. So you're just saving your spot, and you don't have to pay really anything except for registration.
Yeah.
It's helping me a lot.
Definitely. That is also a good idea. And then I know a lot of studios are moving to a rollover registration type of system. I haven't made that leap yet. I really want to. And that basically is like, instead of opting in and registering every season, they have to opt out. So it's like a gym. There's perpetual enrollment. You tell me when you want me to stop charging your card on file instead of like, okay, the season is over. Now sign up again.
Mhm.
You know, so doing rollover registration is something that's definitely picking up in popularity. And I think like so many different kinds of businesses are using this model now. I mean, like
Yeah.
like the spa that I go to for my massages is doing this, where like it's a monthly membership fee and you get certain you get however many massages or whatever, facials or whatever, you know, per month. And if you use it, great. If not, then oh well. Megan says, I feel like my age sometimes is used against me as well. So that's a big thing I'm trying to overcome. I had that issue when I first opened my studio too. I was 24 when I opened 10 years ago. And I still sometimes, much less now, but I still sometimes get customers, parents who are like, well, you're not a parent, so you don't understand X, Y, and Z. And you're right, I'm not a parent, so I don't understand the ins and outs of caring for a child. However, I do understand the ins and outs of educating a child in the dance classroom. This is my expertise. This is what I've dedicated my life to. I have more teaching experience. I've been teaching children longer than you have been a parent. So yeah. You started at 19, you're 20. Oh my gosh, you are a little baby. No, that is awesome. Good for you. That's incredible. I think like another way to flip that is by saying, you know, don't you want a role model for your kid who has found their passion this early in life and is really going after it this young? Isn't that a great role model for your child? Like that's the kind of person that you want influencing your kid, right? So yeah, that's another way to flip that.
Affirmations. When I first was a dancer, and I wasn't that young, but I did, had to get over that. Like, can I do this? Am I qualified to do this? So I was literally like saying to myself, you are qualified to run your dance studio. You make decisions with confidence.
Yeah.
And then I just wrote her a message, staying connected to other dance studio owners. You need like this.
Yes.
I was like about to say, nope, I can't do this on Monday. But I'm like, Casey, please save me. And I called Heather this morning while I was ordering my programs. So it's like, you just have to stay connected so that you don't let them take over your mind.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, absolutely. And like when you have those instances where it's like, a parent came to me with this criticism or with this problem, and it gets to you, like it really does, especially when it's something that you can't change, like your age, like how, like dealing with parents who are concerned about your age is so difficult because it's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do about that. You are how old you are. You will get older. That's good. Like you'll get older, you'll get more experience. That'll change. But like right now, that's it. But that's where having a support system and having a network is really important. And I think, that's like, I say it all the time. That's like why I started DSO Connect in the first place. And it's a place where you can be vulnerable and get that support, even if it's just like venting an issue and having people say, yep, been there, it sucks. Because sometimes just that validation is important. So Crystal, we actually unfortunately decided to cancel the retreat this year. I know we didn't get enough people signed up and we had to put the deposit down on the house and all of that stuff. And it just wasn't looking like it was going to be feasible for us to make it happen, unfortunately. So we did cancel the retreat this year. Sorry, you're muted.
I was wondering because I didn't think I'd heard any more on the podcast about it. And I was like, oh, maybe I just missed it. But I was going to recommend that for Megan because it's so helpful, so many resources. So maybe, I don't know if the tapes from the old one is still available or something. But
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of information last year that was great information that might be helpful.
Definitely. Yeah. And Megan, if there's like specific, questions that you have or specific topics that you want to learn more about, if we don't have the resources for you, we can point you in the right direction. If it's something that multiple people would be interested in, we can do a pop-up call like this one anytime. We can offer those support systems for you. So don't be shy.
Can we try to like find a place on the East Coast that we can maybe just meet up one day in the summer? We can
I
all share some ideas.
know.
If we can't do the retreat, maybe.
Yeah, that would be fun. I know it's so much, even like doing something like that, it's just so much planning involved. But yeah, we might be able to look into something like that. I know we're doing the 6 of us, and then we only had 3 people sign up for the retreat. But those 3 are coming to Robin's house in Florida the week in June, in the end of June. So that'll be like a very unstructured hangout, basically, like no seminars, no content, just hanging out and talking shop the whole time, probably. Let me see. I feel like you were floating this past year. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. Stay connected, Megan, and we are here for you and have undoubtedly made those mistakes already, so we can tell you how to avoid them or how to recover from them. All right, y'all. Well, I have got to jump and get to the studio. I have pictures this week, so yay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope this was helpful. I will post a link to my Google form that I use for my cue sheets in the community group, so y'all can have access to that. And if you need another pop-up call anytime, let me know. We can make it happen. All right, guys, have a great day. You are welcome so much. I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.